All right, so for this video, I'm going to talk about just a couple of things. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is the human lifespan, right? Because I think that the lifespan of like 120 years max, I don't think that that's a natural thing at all. I think that first of all, well, death is unnatural, but I do think that like the shortened lifespan of like 100 years approximately, I think is a genetic manipulation of the simulation because what they want to do is like the reason why they would shorten the human lifespan genetically first of all is that they don't want people to realize the repeating patterns of history. They don't want the older people to pass down wisdom to warn people about future deceptions, right? And because this matrix goes through multiple cycles. This matrix goes through many different cycles of history where they go through a rise and a fall, and then history is erased, and then rise and a fall, right? So they don't want human beings to live through multiple of those cycles to see the pattern, right? And so what they do is they shorten the lifespan to like. And here's the thing: like people say 100 years is a long time, but 100 years you just got here, in my opinion. 100 years you just got here, you just figured things out, and then you die, right? So I do think that the human lifespan in this matrix is definitely artificially shortened. Um, in order in order to essentially create that ignorance. And it's the same reason that I think the memory wipe exists, right? Like the memory wipe, whenever you reincarnate into the soul trap, I think that like the shortened lifespan is there to essentially prevent people from seeing the patterns, prevent people from getting wise. Because what happens is that yet again after 100 years you just figured stuff out, so they don't want people figuring stuff out. They don't want people to get wise, and of course, like the amount of knowledge, the amount of wisdom, the amount of power that you would acquire over hundreds of years of experience is just it's too much for the matrix to handle. So that's why they have the memory wipe, so you don't remember past lives, you don't remember experiences that you had in past lives that can help you now, and you don't remember um and you also like so you don't figure out like in the present in a single lifetime you don't figure out the repeating patterns. You don't get wise in a single lifetime, or wise enough to most people don't get wise enough to fight against the matrix and to actually be an actual threat. And so I think the shortened lifespan is a huge part of that, because they can rewrite history however they want, they can control history however they want, and if there's people that aren't there to tell the tale of how things actually went down, then the Matrix can get away scot free with another cycle of manipulation, another cycle of loosh harvesting, right? So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. But the second thing I wanted to talk about is I believe that the existence of physical pain is also an unnatural phenomena. I think that like pain is unnatural. I think that the shortened lifespan. I think pain is unnatural, right? And oh, excuse me. But I think that like I think there is a huge difference between having like excruciating pain and being able to know like when something's wrong, right? Because people say, "Oh, but without pain, you wouldn't know what's wrong." Well, like if you got like stabbed in the hand or something like that, how do you know if there's something wrong if you don't have pain? But let me give you an analogy, right? So this physical body, it's almost like a suit for the soul, right? It's like a genetic space suit for the soul, right? So you can think about it this way: like if a fighter pilot goes inside of a fighter jet, right, and there's an engine failure, right? Like what happens is what the cockpit should do is it's to say, oh, okay, there's an engine failure, like your right engine is misfiring, or like your right engine stalled or whatever. Like that's what should happen if you're a fighter pilot, you're in a fighter jet. That the jet should let you know if there's something wrong. But this is what pain is. Pain is what every time there's an engine failure, or every time like an engine stalls out on the airplane, the cockpit tases you. Like that's how unnecessary and unnatural physical pain is. And I think that pain is another aspect of like physical pain is another aspect of this loosh farm. And I think it is there to cause as much misery, pain, suffering as possible. And the existence of physical pain is something that is an accessory to the loosh harvesting apparatus. That it is essentially there to generate loosh. It's there to get people upset, and it's there to get people depressed. Because I remember, how I felt whenever I had an asthma attack, whenever I was like a little kid, and like the amount of pain that I had, like I literally couldn't breathe. I remember like I stayed awake for like such a long time. Like I was in like the hospital for like 4 days, but it felt like a week because I couldn't fall asleep. Like I had such a hard time breathing that I literally couldn't fall asleep. It was like it was the fucking worst, right? But the existence of physical pain is one of those things that it's so unnatural, it's so unnecessary, and I do think that there is a difference between perceiving injury, meaning that, oh, okay, I know if my finger got broken, I know if like my muscle's about to tear or whatever. Like there's a difference between feeling that and feeling pain for no reason at all, right? And so I do think that like the existence of physical pain is also an unnecessary thing that is a part of this loose generating apparatus, right? And I've said this before in other videos, but I do think that also, specifically when it comes to women, I think periods are unnatural. I think like the menstrual cycles of like, oh, you like every month you have cramps and you like you bleed out of your vagina or whatever, like that is so unnatural and so unnecessary. That has to be deliberate. That has to be like a deliberate distortion of this loosh form. That has to be like another genetic manipulation of some kind, right? Because I do think that like the menstrual, and of course there's also like the menstrual cycles being associated with the moon, right? And of course like the moon matrix is and of course like the moon is like an artificial body that's projecting a false reality onto this planet, right? And so I do think that there is something to that. I do think like the moon matrix is plays a part, plays a role in like menstrual cycles and like the amount of, and for all the guys watching this, right? I mean, this is basically if you had kidney stones and your prostate swelled every single month, right? Like that. That's how. Yet again, like I feel like that is a genetic alteration. That is a an unnatural thing that's not supposed to happen. I don't think menstrual cycles are a real thing are a natural thing. I don't think that menstrual cycles are a natural thing. I don't think that physical pain is natural, and I don't think that like how short the human lifespan is. I believe that the human lifespan has been artificially shortened through the genetics. I do think that menstrual cycles have been created as like a distortion through the genetics. I do think that like, physical pain, the existence of physical pain, is also a part of this loose generating apparatus. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of talk about like some of the things that I think are sort of unnatural, sort of accessories of this loose form, and I think those three things are definitely included. But yeah, that's the video.